All right, good evening, everybody. So tonight I'm going to do the introduction to R and R Studio, and my name is Yelena. I'm one of the teaching assistants in data analytics department. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So here is the agenda for tonight. So we're going to go over what's R and what's R Studio. We're going to look at the environment and the interface, and I'll show you how to save all the commands in the R script file. We'll talk about using variables, reading data from the CSV file. We look at the data frame properties, and we look at the row filters and how to sort data, handling missing values. We also look at the data visualizations, and there is a little bonus in at the end. That's for people who actively listen, right? For paying undivided attention. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is a data set that I'm going to use for the demonstration purposes, and the data is tracking the employee attrition. So basically, you have an employee ID, you have the job satisfaction, you have the rating that an employee got on last evaluation, you have a salary range, low, medium, high, and the last field says if the employee remained or left the company, right? And here I put the dataset source. Now, what's R? R is a language for statistical analysis and data visualization. It's free and it's an open source, and it can run on different operating systems. It has excellent data visualization capabilities, right? So you can share your results with others. There is a very rich online documentation, and R works well in academic environment where you are, and you can use it with databases. And there is more than one way to do the same thing. It can be done in multiple ways. And of course, R supports parallel processing. Now, what are some drawbacks? Really, there is no graphical user interface, but for the assignments, we're going to download the R Studio, which has some interface. You really need to practice to learn it, and then you need to be able to read the help pages, and I'll show you what I mean. Now, remember, our language is case sensitive, so Yelena, all uppercase, is not the same as Yelena in all lowercase. R may not solve all problems, and you need to keep on updating the packages regularly, and, very important, to download R, you need to make sure that you have admin rights on the PC where you want to install it, or you should be able to log in as an admin, or you should be at least able to enter the password when prompted. Admin login credentials, right? Alright, what do you need to install? I put here the URL where you can download the latest R version from Windows and for Mac. So first you do R, and then you download the R Studio, right? So the latest R version is 3.43. Whenever you launch the R Studio, it will show you at the top which R version are you using. So this is an interface, and I'm gonna get to it shortly, but first I want to make sure that I showed it to you on a slide. So see, when you download it first time, when you just download it and launch it first time, you will see three panels. The main panel is called the console. Console panel is where you can type the commands. All output is displayed in there, and if there are any error messages or warnings, that's where you see that. Then here, and I will show you the details, where environmental panel, that's where you see all your variables, the history of commands, and I'll go over in details. And I'll go over the bottom panel as well. Yes. So let's go ahead and go into the R Studio IDE. So see this? As here you see the fourth window. That's basically what you will see when you start saving your commands in a file. And yes, you should be saving all your work in a file, because you want to make sure that the work that you do is reproducible, right? So for example, if a lot of homeworks cannot be done in one sitting, so if I'm going to redo tomorrow the work that I did so far, right? If I want to get back to where I stopped it, I should be able to reproduce the work that I did yesterday. And the only way to do it, the best way to do it, is to save all my commands in a script. So let me go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm sharing my screen right now. And this is RStudio, right? So here, this is a source window. That's a file, that's a script that I wrote for today's demonstration, and I'll give you a copy. This is an environmental window. Right now, I don't see anything in it because I just launched the program. Environmental window shows all the variables that you have in memory. And also, if you wrote any custom functions, right, they're going to be here. History is a history of the commands that you ran. So if you notice here, I was doing something, right? So my history is not empty. Anytime, if I need to rerun something that's in my history, I can just do this. I can highlight the command, right? Like for example, I want to know what object command does, right? Question mark, it's a help command. See here, if I want to run this command again, I highlight it and click to console, right? And then click enter, right? So whenever you use a question mark, that command will display the help page. Question mark followed by the command will show the help page for the command, right? So now here you don't need to worry about the connection tab at the moment. So what you need to know is the history. You're gonna use it a lot. You're gonna use the environment, and I'll show you what happens when you create variables. Now here you have several tabs. Files. File tabs will list the files that you have in a working directory, and I'll show you what a working directory is. And here it will show you the plot that you created, and you can navigate between them. And at the moment I don't have any plots. I have not done much, right? Packages. R comes with predefined libraries. And basically, what is it? It's just a piece of code, right? These are the system library. The code is organized into libraries. System library, all of these guys here, are pre-installed. When you install the R, you're gonna get these packages pre-installed. User library is the packages that you installed. Package is nothing but just a set of functions, variables, right, that you install in order to use certain methods. Not all methods are pre-installed. You would have to install a package, and I'll show you how to do that. Help, this is your friend. Basically, whenever you're not sure what the command does, all you do is you type a question mark and you put a command, and this will open the help page for that command. Like for instance, I don't know what ls command is, right? So what I did was I type a question mark and I type my command, and in here I'm getting all information, what the command does and how it's used and different input parameters that it takes, and some examples at the end. Right, so this is help, and I can also navigate between different pages, right? So now this is a console window. Console window is where you enter the commands, where the output is displayed, and where any warnings and error messages are displayed. Here is a source window. So in order to make your work reproducible, what you'll need to do: file, new file, new file, R script. What does that do? It will open the new source file. And you're going to type your commands in here, right? Like for example, I can type ls command, I can type r.version, I can type question mark ls command, right? So that's gonna display the help page. I can type r.version to check the version of my R. And notice that as I type, see this drop down? It's given me. I can just choose here, right? Then I suppose that I have like 100 commands in here, the sequence. And when I come back tomorrow to continue working where I left off, I should be able to reproduce my work to where I stopped it. So what I can do is I can create this script, right? File new R script, and then I can go in and I can save it. See this save as, right? And I can save this file to my hard drive, right? And then when I come back the next day, I'll just do file, open file, and I find the location where I saved the file. Like for example, this is a file that I have open already, right? I would just select it and click open, right? So I can save, and I should save always all my commands in a file. So what I did for you is I prepared a nice script with the commands that we're going to go over today. Now, first of all, what is this hash? This is a comment. A comment is a non-executable line of code, but I want to explain what my code does. So that way, if I give you a copy of this code, after the lecture, if you want to review it, you will remember what Yelena did here, right? Similarly, if it's your code, you want to go back to your code in a few weeks from now and see what was done. Now, this first command here, it displays the R version. Right? So if I want to know what version of R I have installed, I just run this command. So this is the major version 3, 4.3. It is sort of like a subversion. So I have 3.43, and here is the release year and the release month. Okay. So now session info is giving us some additional information. In addition to our version, it's just going to tell us the tools, the compiler, and these are, remember I mentioned the packages. So these packages right here are loaded in memory whenever I launch the RStudio. These packages are currently loaded in memory. Package is just a set of code and variables, right? They're grouped together. And in order to use this package, you would have to load it in memory, and I'll show it to you later today. But here's session info information. It shows you this here, right? The R version, and it shows you the platform. It shows you which packages were loaded in memory when you launch the RStudio, right? So that's one more information, right? Now what I can do is I can do ls. Will show me the variables that I have in memory. Right now I have nothing, right? Here, this is another command, objects, to list which variables you have in memory. Right now it's empty. So remember I mentioned that in R, the nice thing is that there is more than one way to do it. And here is an example. I did ls and I did objects, and I got the same, right? Almost the same thing. Yes, the same. So now let's do this. Let's do this. I can use my R as a calculator. Like for example, I can run 5 plus 9, 14. Now, notice here everything in R is represented as a vector. Here, number 14 is a vector of one element. And what this number means is the index from which this element starts. Right? So there is one element in a vector, and this element starts at position 1. Right? Everything is treated as a vector. It's not stored anywhere because I did not assign the sum to a variable. At the moment, I didn't store it anywhere. Now, what you could do is we can print it. Print statement will just output, welcome to data mining. Notice this is also a vector of a single element. And again, I'm not storing it anywhere. I'm just doing the output. Now, I'm going to do something different. Notice this. This is an assignment operator. So, x is going to be my variable, and 3 is going to be my value. And I assigned value 3 to variable x. What did I just do? In my global environment, I see a variable called x, and it has a value 3. So my environment is no longer empty. So if I was going to run the ls command again, I see that I have variable x. Right? So now you might be wondering, what if I no longer need an x? It's a good practice to remove what you no longer need from the memory, just to clear up the memory, right? rm command removes the variable from the memory, and here I'm specifying the variable name. And now to run the command, I'm not sure if I showed you how to do it. Look at it. I put my cursor on it and I click run. I put my cursor and I click run. So look at this. This is empty right now, right? There is nothing in the environment because I just deleted. Now, suppose that I have more than one variable. I have 200 of them that I want to delete. I don't want to be running rm command for every single variable at a time. This is what I can do. I can do this. Remember, ls command returns the list of variables in my environment, right? So what I'm doing here, I'm passing the list of variables as an input to rm command. What this will do is this will delete all variables that I have in my environment, right? Like as an example, suppose I do this. I set x to 3 and I'm gonna set y to 4, right? I have an option to remove one variable at a time, or I can just do this. I can just run this and it will be gone. So this is how you delete the variables from memory programmatically, right? Something else, let me show you this. If I'm in the console window, I can use my up arrow. I can use my up arrow to bring up the command, to bring up the latest command, right, that I just ran. Look at this. If I use up and down arrow, I can go back and forth between the commands, right? So look at this. I'm creating the y variable again. If I want to delete my variables, not programmatically, I have a broom right here. So if I click on a broom here, it will delete all variables that I have in memory. Alternatively, this is what you could do. See this? You can swap, you can toggle between list and grid view in the environmental window. So suppose that if I have more than one variable here, right, if I'm in the grid mode, I can do this. I can select my variables that I want to delete and click on a broom. And here it's asking me if I want to remove the object. I would click yes. So this is how, it's another way how you can remove the variable. And behind the scene, R will run the command on my behalf, right? And clicking on the broom will delete everything that I have. Now I can swap back to the list view. You can toggle between different views. Now, here, data, this will show me what pre-installed data sets I have. For instance, Iris is one of the famous pre-installed data sets. But if I want to know what else I have, so here is my list. This is my list of the data sets that are in packages that are now in memory. Here you can list, this is a command that you would use to list all available data sets. So that are the data sets that are in the packages that currently not loaded in memory. See, this is a package. Another way is to call it as a library. You may see it called library in some R books. and some libraries contain sample data sets that you may play around with. So now let's go back. Here this will list the options that you currently have set. Options, including the window size. This is a number of characters that is displayed in the warning. Now remember, everything is a vector, but this, see this? Here, right here, it's a vector of 2, right? And this is the index of the first element in the vector. Now, let me create a vector. And this is important because some methods that you're going to use take list as an input parameters. So C is called a combine command, and it will create a vector of the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So let me go ahead. But the thing is, I'm not storing it in any variable, so it will just do the output. And the reason is it because I did not assign this to variable, right? Another way to produce the list of elements 1 through 5 is to do this 1, colon, 5. But this time, let me create a variable x and store it in a variable x, run, right? So now I didn't get an output to the screen. It's because I stored it in a variable. And to display my values, I can just do x, or I can do print x. It's the same. Now, let me show you what happens if I type the lowercase x instead of uppercase. I'm getting an error. So whenever you get object not found error, consider checking the spelling, because R is case sensitive, right? So going back to our uppercase x, this is a vector, and I can print only the specific element of my vector. So I want to print the third element. What I do is I have to put the element number in the brackets here, right? So this is going to output. Now you may have noticed that it shows 1 in here, because this is the element number in the output. This is the first element in the output, not in the vector that I'm outputting, right? So I wanted to point that out. Now, this command is going to show me the data type, and in this case it's an integer because the elements of a vector are integers. Now, alternative way to show the data type is type of, right? And then str command will show you the structure, and this is a structure. Notice that it's the same as here. The output is sort of the same as in the environmental window. It's showing me the structure. Now to display the output of vector. Okay. First of all, let's create a vector y. Let's create the list of y. But this time, what I want to do is I want to have elements 1 through 5, and then elements 8 through 10. Right? So this is what I do. I'm going to create another list called y, and I'm going to assign it to variable y for right now. And now I can display y, but suppose my list is very long. I can specify the elements that I want to see. In this case, I want 3 through 6. So I am lazy to list the indexes 3, 4, etc. So this means starting from 3 up to 6. So that's what it means. And I can run the class y to get the data type, and then str is going to show me the structure. And since it's a numeric, I can multiply all elements by 2, right? And I can display the structure again. So times 2, it multiplies all elements. Now what this will do is it will create a sequence of 10 elements, and it's going to start from 1, and it's going to increment by 1 because I didn't specify. And then I do the output z. Here I can specify the start number and the end number, right? So let me create another sequence W, and W is starting from 2, going up to 10, but I did not specify the increment, so it's doing 1. And this is another sequence, and this time I want to increment by 2, and then I want to output, right? So that looks so easy, but we need to know this because sometimes the list can be used as an input to other methods that we run. This is your friend, help command. So whenever you need to know how the command works, you type a question mark and you type the command name. Like for example, this command is going to show me the help page with a bar plot. And here I can see the package where this command is defined. Remember packages, right? So I have a graphics package where the bar plot command is defined. And here I see some examples of when would I use this command and some input parameters. For instance, I could specify the bar height, I could specify the plot title, I could specify the name of the x-axis and y-axis. So here, if I scroll down, all input parameters are explained to me in the details, and there are actually even additional references I could look at, and there are some examples. Down here in the help page, I see some examples so that I could go through and maybe borrow part of the code and adjust to what I'm doing. Now, this is the same way, another way to show this, right? That's another way to show this help page. And then suppose that I'm not quite sure about the spelling of my command, but I know that it contains the word bar. So I just use this command apropos. So this will give me the list of possible searches, the list of possible commands that contain the word bar. Then I can take the command that I need, right? I can take the command that I need from this list and I can type the question mark and the command. So this is what you do when you're not sure about the spelling, but you know it contains the word bar. You run this command to get a list of possible commands that contain the word bar, and then you run the command you need to get the help page you need. Here you can show only the examples. For instance, I want to see an example on how to use a bar plot. So I just run the command example, and here I see my example in the console window. Now I have to click enter, and here it is. This is my plot, right? This is a command that was run for me by R to generate this plot, and I keep on hitting the enter to see additional examples of the bar plots, and I keep on clicking through this, right, until I reach the end. So there we go, right? So this is how you do. You can see, right? You can check the examples if there are any. Now this is, I can search the online help pages for bar plot. Our site search is going to search the online pages, and it's going to open it in the browser. It's going to open the help page in the browser. It's taking a little bit time to sync, and it's going to use the default browser that you have defined in your settings, in your operating system settings. Anyhow, so for some reason, yes, okay, here it is. So this is our site, for the bar plot, right? So those are the different help pages on the bar plot. So, and I'm going to make sure that you have a copy of this script. Now, our next step is how to read data from the file. The first step is you want to set the working directory. What is the working directory? It's a folder where my R starts looking at as I attempt to read the file, as I attempt to save the file, or as I attempt to list the contents, right? So, for instance, get wd command, right? I would use this command to display my working directory. So by default, in my case, it's pointing to the user's Yelena documents. But I want to change it because I have the external hard drive with a folder called datasets. That's a folder I created, and I put the dataset that I've been using for the demonstration purposes. So to set the working directory programmatically, this is a command that I use. Set wd, and in parentheses, I specify the directory location. When you use this script, you're going to have a different directory name. You have to change this path, right? So just hit run. And now, if I display the working directory, this is what it is right now. Now remember, everything is a vector. So that's what it is. I have a vector of one element, and this is the element at position number 1. Here, this will list the files that I have in the current working directory. Now, this is a very good example to show you, because see this? The first line, it starts with a 1, so position of this element is 1. The position of this element is a 3, right? The position of this element is a 5. This is a list of files that I have in this folder up here. Your list is going to be different, and your folder name will be different, right? Now, what I want to do is, I have a file called employee attrition somewhere, right? If I scroll down in here, I'll see it. This is a file that I want to read right now. What I do is, I use a command called read CSV. I'm going to specify the first input parameter is a file name. Header equals true. It means that my headings, so see that this is a file. I want R to read the field headings from the first row, okay? And the remaining rows are the data. And here, by default, read CSV would pick up that the separator is a comma. It will pick it up, but just to be sure, I always specify. I don't like to rely on default. I always specify. It's good to specify for clarity purposes, right? So separator is a comma. It's a delimiter, because I'm reading the data from the CSV file. So let's go ahead and run it. And what that will do? Let's see what I expect to happen. I expect to create a new variable, or that's called the data frame, which will be populated with the data stored in this CSV file. That's what I expect. So let's go ahead and run it. Now, if I look at my environment window, this is a data frame that I just read, and it contains 4507 observation in 11 variables. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that the number of observations here matches the number of rows in the data file. Of course, it's going to be -1 because the first row is a heading, right? So you subtract this, and it's going. You want to make sure, just always double check, right? 4508 -1, 4507, and I see 4507 here. And 11 variables. That's how you want to always check. Now, if I click on error, it's giving me a list of my variables and their data type. Notice that, let me scroll down here. If the data type is categorical department, right? It's called factor, and level is a valid value. So 10 levels means that department can have, there could be 10 values for the department. Accounting, HR, and so on, right? And here, salary, I can have 3 values. I have high, low, and medium. What does number 2 mean here? it means that my first row has the second value. The second value is low, right? My third row also has low, right? So this is number 2. This is for the salary. It's stored as high, medium, low in this case. It's not stored as a specific number, right? And what I could do is I could go into my source and compare. Alternatively, I can preview data here, because notice str does not show me the data preview. It's showing me the data structure. To see the data preview, I can run the view command. Now, very important, view, letter V is uppercase. Letter V is uppercase, it's important. Now, here it is. It's a tabular view of my data. Here are the column names, right, the field names, and here are the first 9 rows in this case. I could use these arrows here to sort my data by the field, right? I could do that. But something to keep in mind, any change I make here, it's not going to be saved. It may or may not be saved in my variable. It's not sorted. I'm just sorting it in a view here, right? Now, let's do this. Let's go ahead and go back to the code. Suppose that I want to display 6 rows in the console window. This is your friend. Head. Head command will display the first 6 rows if the number of rows is unspecified. Now notice that I have 11 fields and they don't fit on the same line. So what R will do, it will wrap. It will wrap. So I've got my line number, which is the observation number, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here, this is the observation number, right? Now, alternatively, I can display the first 10 rows. To do that, I specify 10 as a second parameter. This tail, it will show me the last 6 rows if number of rows is not specified. And to display the last 10 rows, you specify number 10, right? This will show me the last 10 rows in this console window. Now, let's take a look at more the data frame properties. Here, we looked at the data frame properties in the global environment window. The problem is, sometimes you're not going to have this beautiful interface. Sometimes you need to be able to look at the data structure programmatically. To do that, you would want to run str command. Str, and inside you put the name of the data frame. In this case, it's employee attrition, app attrition. Str command is going to display the structure, right? Here, my variables, these are the levels, right? And how many valid values I have, and a data type, and variable name, right? And here is a preview of the first few records, right? Now, class is going to show me that my variable is a data frame, data.frame. And here I can check, is my variable data frame? Is .data.frame. That's a command, and this is the name of the data frame, right? And it's going to show me true. It returns true because, in fact, this is a data frame. Now, how do we find out the names of variables in a data frame? Of course, I can go in here and I can check, right? But sometimes you need to list the variables programmatically, because suppose that I have a script, I have a logic that I want to loop through all variables in the data frame. I should be able to get a list of my variables programmatically. There is more than one way to do that. You can run names command. Names command will just return the list of variable names. Now, remember, everything is a vector. So this here, this is the position of this element in this vector, right? Attributes, this will show me the row numbers and the variable numbers. Well, now, when you see this message, it means that the output size exceeds the maximum allowed the maximum number of characters in the output size, but I just wanted to show you that this command, attribute command, will return the variable names. It will return the data type and the row numbers. Row name is a row number in this case, but in general, it's possible to change this. It's possible. But now what you also could do is see that this is a list. This data structure is actually a list structure. It contains the element called names, it contains the element called class, and it contains the element row names. Okay? So what this command returns is a list. Now I can look at specific elements of my list. To do this, see this, I can just put this. I can just put number 1. Attribute and partition 1. It will return only the variable names. Alternatively, I could just put names in here instead of 1. So basically, what I'm showing you is that there is more than one way to get the variable names. And this is called names. That's another way to get the names of the variables in the data frame. Now, here, suppose that I want to know how many observations I have. Of course, I see this information here, but sometimes you need to know it programmatically. You run the dim command. Dim command will return the number of rows and the number of columns. Now, what if I want to know only the number of observations? Take a look at it. See this? The output from the dim command is a vector, right? So when I want to know the number of observations only, I'm interested in the first element of this vector. This is what I'm doing here, right here in the second approach. The first approach, you can just use nrow command. Nrow command will return the number of rows, right? This will also return the number of rows, right? Now, suppose that I want to get the number of columns. Here I have even more options. I can do this and call will return the number of columns, or I can do the length command. Believe it or not, length is going to return me the number of variables I have in the data frame. Or, do you remember we were running the dimensions, right? This is going to be the second dimension, right? Isn't it? Or, alternatively, this is a little bit more challenging. Take a look at it. Do you remember names? Names command returns a list of fields, right? This returns a list of my variables, and I can run the length command. My length command can take this list as an input. Okay, so that's another way. So, oops. Okay, there we go. I just typed something wrong by accident. I typed something. It happens. Anyhow, now length command is also going to return the number of elements. Okay? Now let's look at the descriptive statistics. We looked at the structure of the data frames, right? Data frame. But by looking here, we don't know what average satisfaction is, what's the lowest satisfaction, what's the highest satisfaction. We don't know this information just by looking here. So str command shows the structure. Summary command shows the descriptive statistics. I can display the descriptive statistics for the entire data frame, or I can display the descriptive statistics for just a single variable, right? Alright, to display it for the whole data frame, I put summary and I put my data frame name in parentheses. So let's take a look at what this does. It's going to display the statistics for all variables that I have. Here, this is an ID. It's a unique identifier. And I'll show you how to deal with it later. But see that the minimum value is 1, the maximum value, right? So basically, if you preview the data, you'll see this is a unique identifier. Now, let's take a look at the satisfaction level. This is a numeric variable, and here I see my summary. I see my minimum, first quartile, a median, mean, third quartile, and a maximum, right? Notice here I have NAs. So this here tells me that I have one record where this value of this variable is unspecified, it's missing. That's what NA means. And if I scroll down, take a look at it. Salary. I don't see the minimum, maximum. I don't see this number summary. And because this is a factor variable, if variable is a factor variable, I'm going to see the values and the number of instances that have each value. If I have more than 6, if I have more than 6 values, it's going to show the dominant. Notice that usually it shows the dominant, and then it groups the remaining values as other, right? It groups the remaining departments here as other category. And here are the departments with the most number of people. This is the default behavior. Now, suppose that we have, just imagine we have 200 variables, and Yelena is lazy to scroll through the list of 200 variables. What she could do is, she could run the summary command just for one variable. To do that, I put the $sign after my data frame name, and this is the variable that I'm interested in. And I run the summary command, and this will show me the 5-number summary only for the field that I'm interested in. Now, this is an alternative way to display the summary for the entire command, for the entire data set. Lapply. This command is gonna this lapply command is used to run the specified command on every single field in a data set. So what this will do, it will run the summary command on every single variable that I have in the data set. Well, the returned output is very close to the output that you saw earlier, with few exceptions. Notice that here, for my department, I see all values, a number of instances that have each value. In there, right, when I ran the first command, I only saw the top 6, and the remaining were grouped in the category other. Here I see all of them. And the layout is slightly different. The output is displayed differently, right? Here, suppose that I want to see only minimum. That's what I can do. I can use the min command, but here, be careful. You want to make sure that you want to check the data type. In my case, satisfaction level is numeric, so that's fine. I can run it. Then I can do the range, right? If I want to see the minimum and maximum, I would use range. One thing that was missing is a standard deviation. The number summary that we saw, it excluded the standard deviation. So you can do SD command to display the standard deviation. Now, here, you can use a unique command to display the unique values. So here, it's supposed to give me the list of departments that I have, right? Alternatively, you can use levels command. Levels will display the unique values of my categorical variable. In this case, the department names. Here, it might be a little bit complex when you first look at it. I want to show the maximum satisfaction level per department. So this is what this tilde means. I want to show the satisfaction per department, right? So this will show me, it produces this table, and it's showing me the department name and the maximum satisfaction, right? So this is what aggregate does. It's going to show me whatever I specify. I can put minimum, I can put anything, I can put sum, I believe, yes. But you have to pay attention, you need to pay attention to the data types, right? Now, What else I could do here? I could display the subset of the data, or I can assign the subset of my data to a new variable, right? So here, the way you access the subset is it goes. See here, I want to display the first 5 rows. So here are the rows 1 through 5. In the second position, after the comma, you specify the variables that you want to display. If the variable position or the variable names are omitted, it means that I want to show all variables. See this? So this is empty here. Here, I'm going to display the first 5 rows and all variables, right? So that's one way to display the first 5 rows. Another way was a head. So this is somewhat similar to running the head command and specifying that I want to see only 5, right? So suppose that if you have a test or homework assignment, and if I ask you to display the first 5 rows, this is one way to do this. Or you can do it this way too. Both are correct. Now, here I can create another variable, new employee attrition, and assign the first 5 rows, right? So this is assign. Suppose that I want to work only with the first 5 rows, and by creating a copy of the variable with only 5 rows, I could save the memory, right? If this is all that I need to manipulate. Oh, what did I just do? I clicked on it here. I clicked on this. That's another way to run the view command. When I click here, behind the scene, it's running the view command. Yep. What was it? Did somebody just say something? I thought somebody just mentioned something. Oh, okay. No, never mind. Okay. So now let's do this. Let's close this out. Let's go back to the script. Here I can specify that I want to see the first 6 variables. So that's going to be the variables at position 1 through 6 and the first 5 rows. Ultimately, here I can do this, right? Names is going to pull the list of variable names, and here I just say 1 through 6. And I can just drop this. I can just drop this piece. But what I'm showing you that there is more than one way to do it. So if you see this way in a book, then you will know that this is what Yelena showed, that these two will ultimately return the same. Here, suppose that I want the first, fourth, and fifth. There we go. Do you see this? This is my list. I have to pass a list as an input parameter. And the input parameters, I'm specifying the column positions. 1, 4, 5, right? This is specifying the column positions in the data set. Okay? There we go. But suppose that I don't know the position. I can specify the column names, but again, I have to use a C. C is a list, right? And I put each column name, each field name in a quote, single quotes. Okay? And this, I did not specify which rows I want, so this will pull all rows. This will pull all rows and the first 2 variables. Now, take a look at this. This has to do with the limit. There is a limit on how many characters I can have in the output. So as you're working on the assignment, as you're trying to preview, keep this in mind. All right. So now, here, what this will do is I can display the first 4 values of my department variable. See this? What I'm doing, I'm put the $sign and I put the name of the variable, right? And I run it. This should show the values in the first 4 rows. Sales, 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 right? Here, this is a conditional subset. I want to display all variables, but I want to pull the rows only where satisfaction level is above 9.8, right? So here, this is a condition for the rows. Amp attrition is the name of the data frame, $sign, and this is a variable name, and this is my condition. So here, this is the condition I use to select my rows. And here I put the variables. I did not specify which variables I want, so it's going to pull everything. There we go. Now, what you could do is, how do you test your work? To test your work, you could just skim through, right? Do I have any rows with satisfaction level equal to or below 0.8, right? So that's one way to test, right? Here, this is a double condition. You can combine two conditions. I want to pull people where the satisfaction level is greater than 9.8 and the salary is minimum. This stands for the AND. And you can also do OR, but I'm just showing you an example, just to tell you that the conditions can be combined. And this one here, this is a row. This is going to be an ID. This is a row number in the dataset, because do you remember you have an ID variable, right? The first variable here is a unique identifier, right? Now, I'll show you how to add a variable. Right now, I have time spent, but time spent is tracked in number of years. Suppose that I'm doing something, and the logic requires looking at number of months. I want to add a new field, and I call it month spent. So to do this, I just put the data frame name, $sign, and this is going to be my new field, right, new variable. And I'm going to assign it to time spent in the company multiplied by 12. Now I'm going to use my friend head command, and I want to see what happened. And the first change you're going to see is that I should have now 12 variables instead of, I should have 12 instead of 11, right? And month spent is my new variable. So sometimes you want to do that for the calculation purposes, right? Now, let's take a look at this. This data set has a unique identifier variable. That's one example when you want to remove the variable, because unique identifiers, they're not really useful for predictions. When you use a data mining method to predict something or to classify something, the unique identifiers are not really useful. Like, for instance, if I want to predict if my employee is going to stay in a company, the employee ID is not really a predictor, right? Another reason you want to remove the unique identifiers, because it slows down the data mining method performance, right? Another situation when you would remove the variable is when you have something like a sensitive information such as names, social securities, and you want to remove it from analysis. If you have a variable that's skewed, right? For instance, suppose that I had everybody in my data set had a high salary, then I would not be interested in a salary, because if the value is the same for everybody, it's not really useful, right? So if the values are skewed, or if most of the values are missing, if most of the values of a variable are missing, you may want to remove. So to remove the variable, you just set it to null. That's the easiest way to do that. So now, how do I verify that the variable is removed? There is multiple ways to do that. You can just run the names command, right? You can just run names command to list the names of my variables. Names, right? And I put this, and it's just gonna tell me, and see, ID is missing. I no longer have an ID. Or you can do str command to display the structure. There is more than one way. Now, my next challenge. Suppose that I want to figure out 10 people who are the most satisfied. I want to find 10 most satisfied people. How do I do that? I have to have a way to I'm sorry, 10 least satisfied people. Let's do 10 least satisfied people, then do 10 more satisfied people. To do that, you have to sort the data first, right? So I'm going to create a new variable and I'm calling it employee attrition sorted. Here, what I'm doing here is that I'm going to sort it by satisfaction level. Here, I want to take all rows sorted by the satisfaction level, right? And I want to take all the variables. And I'm going to assign it to a new variable called employee attrition sorted. So the reason you sort is that if I want to see top X values, and also sorting sometimes can help you find the duplicates, because when you sort it, they're going to be adjacent rows. Now let's run this here, and then I'm going to preview the first 10 rows, and you could tell that your data is sorted by the satisfaction level ascending. It's sorted by satisfaction level ascending. You would probably have to preview more data to actually see it, right? So now here, what I'm doing is that I'm going to sort it descending. To sort it descending, you just put a minus sign here, right? And then I preview it. So now it's showing me the satisfaction 10. This is the highest one. Now, unfortunately, I have too many people who have equal satisfaction level. So what I could do, I could throw in another sorting criteria, and I want to say, let's if the satisfaction level is the same, let's use the project worked on as a second sorting variable. So if both of us have 10 satisfaction level, and if I worked on one project, I'll be displayed ahead of somebody who worked on 2 projects, right? So this is what you do with this ahead, and you can play around with this afterwards. I'm going to give you the script and the data. Okay, now I have different variable types, right? For some reason, attrition was loaded as an integer, but I know my business rule. I know that the values are actually 1 and 0. And suppose that I want to use the method that does not handle numeric variables. I want to use a method that handles only categorical variables, right? So for this one, since there are only 2 variables, I can use the factor function to convert this to the factor variable. So I use a factor. Let's run this. I'm running the factor function and I'm resetting it, right? So if I scroll down here, I see that now my attrition variable is a factor and the values are 0 and 1. Number 2 means that the value is 1, right? So this is actually the index of the value. Not a value, but the index of the value, what you see here. So one way to verify is to run, you can run the summary command on this field, right? So now I no longer see the average. I see the number of instances for each value. And in fact, you don't want to see the minimum and maximum for this field, because you either stayed with the company or you didn't stay. There is no value in between, right? This is another way to verify if variable was a factor, is factor, and then it's supposed to return true. Now, here the table command is used to show the frequency count. So whenever I do the table salary, it's going to show me how many people I have at each salary level. Remember that this command should be run on a categorical variable, usually, right? Now, if I want to show the proportion of people at each salary level, I run another command, prop table, and I pass this table here as an input. This is supposed to show the proportion. Alternatively, I can create a cross-tab, right? I can show number of people for each attrition, right, for salary. Take a look at this. This is what I'm talking about. Each row is a salary, and each column is attrition 0 or attrition 1, right? It shows if the employee left or stayed in the company, and I want to see the breakdown for each salary level. So that's what it did. 2 variables, right? And the order of variables, it matters because it determines what will I use for my fields, for my columns, and what will I use for my rows. Now, this part is fun. Missing values. I need to show you what the problem is. Now I want to see the average last evaluation rating. What happened? I did not get the expected result. Problem. It's because I have at least one row with missing value. There is a workaround here. The workaround is to add this input parameter NARM equals true. This will ignore the missing values in computation, right? This will ignore the missing values in the computation and return me the mean evaluation rating for the records for the observations that have a value, right? Now, suppose that I want to check if my data has any missing values. Look at it. This is what we can do. Is an A returns true if the value is missing, and false if the value is not missing. When I just run isn't A like this will check every single value, and it will check every single column, and it will display if the value is missing. Yes, looks like I have a question here. Let me look at the chart. In the question, does it remove the entire row or just the individual attributes? Oh, we have not removed anything. This is an excellent question. NARM does not change the data. What it does is it only tells us to ignore the row with missing value for the calculation purposes. The data row with a missing value is still there. We are not removing it. We are only ignoring it in a calculation. I hope I answered the question well. Right? So the question was this, NARM. Yeah, what are we deleting? We are not deleting. This is an excellent question, and I'm so glad that somebody asked it. Thank you so much for asking this. So this is what it does. Now, here, any. Let me show you what this will do. Isn't A is going to loop through every single value for all variables, and it will return false when the value is not missing, true when the value is missing. Any is going to take a sum of truths. So if I have at least one missing value, it's going to show me true, that my data set has at least one missing value. How many values are missing? So now use the sum. 3. Somewhere I have 3 values missing in my data set. Here I want to check how many instances are missing the last evaluation rating value. So this is going to give me the how many, right? But see here, I specified the variable name. So it's going to do the number of missing values for the specific variable, right? And here, what I'm doing is that I'm just going to show which rows are missing. I want to get more information. I know one, but I want to know the row number so that I can look at it, right? And here, I want to show the observations that are missing at least one value. complete cases grabs the rows that you have where you have all values, right? Complete cases will grab the rows with all values. This exclamation point is a negation. So what I want to do here is that I want to grab the rows that have at least one value missing, and I want to grab all variables. So this is a conditional subset, right? Oops. Run. There we go. It's because I had something highlighted like this. That's the reason. You want to have either cursor positioned on the command that you want to run, or the whole command highlighted. You cannot have like partial command highlighted. Alright, so here it is. See this NA? It stands for missing value. And here I have missing values on the average monthly hours. Now we're gonna get back to handling missing values. There is no right or wrong answer. Sometimes in some cases, when you have enough data, you can remove the instances missing a value, right? And there are two ways to do it. NA omit will remove the rows missing a value, and now I'm going to assign it to another variable. I'm going to assign this to another variable. The reason I'm doing it because there is really no undo button. Whenever I did something accidentally, I cannot undo it, right? So one way to undo the work would be to rerun the script. Yes, that's another reason you want the work to be reproducible. If I make a mistake, there is no undo button. You would want to rerun the whole script, right? Very easy to undo just by rerunning the script. Okay, here, complete cases returns the rows that are not missing any values. So this is just another way to get rid of the instances missing a value, and I'm creating a copy here. Now, I have a problem because sometimes deleting the instances missing a value could result in losing very important data. Another option I have is to set the missing value with average, right? So I can set the average, the missing value of the last evaluation rate, and I can set it to the average. This is how I get the average. Remember, when I compute my average, I have to explicitly ignore the missing values in the computation. Here, what I'm doing is that I'm picking up, isn't A means missing. I'm picking up every single row, right? I'm picking up every single value of the last evaluation rating that is missing, and I'm setting it to the mean. Alternatively, I can set it to the predefined value, right? Well, this would work well for categorical values, actually. So if I had, for instance, salary not specified, I could have another category called unknown, and I could set my missing values to unknown, just an example, right? Or here, I just randomly set it to 200. It just randomly do it, just to show you how to do it. Now, what you could do then, you can run the summary command to verify that the missing values have been handled. In this case, it's not, right? I still have one missing value. But whenever you handle it, whenever you handle all missing values, you could run the summary command, or you could run this command, right? Remember the commands we ran to check if there are missing values? You can just rerun these commands, right? So here, this command right here, it's going to show me which variables are missing the value and how many they're missing. Now, this here, next little topic is to show you how to install packages. If you may recall, the packages is a set of functions, set of commands, right? They're grouped together, and it may contain the variables and predefined data sets. This command will open the list of available packages in a browser, right? So I'll let you play around with this. It will just open it in a browser. This command will list the packages that you have installed, right? It's a way to do this programmatically. Well, sometimes you might be writing a script where you want to pass the list of installed packages. So that's always good to know how to do it in a script. Search, this will list the packages that you have loaded in memory. Now, remember this, I have a bunch of packages installed, but the package is not available to use unless it's in memory. Here, it will show you where the packages are installed in your PC, right? So this is what I see two lines because there are two types of libraries. There is a library that comes when you install R, and there is a library with user-defined libraries. Those are the extra packages that you're going to install. As an example, this is a rules package, and that package will be used. You're gonna use it for binning, and you're gonna use it to run the association rules method at some point in the course. So what you do here, install packages, and here you specify the package name. I'm not going to do that because I have my package installed already. I have it, it's in the user library. I have it, it's right here. Now, if I want to use something in a package, I must load the package in memory. There is more than one way to do it. I can just go here and click this checkbox next to the package. But I want all my work to be reproducible. On my next, when I return to work on my assignment again, maybe I will not remember when I click this checkbox. So I want to do it programmatically. To do that, you can use the library command or you can use require command. These two commands are going to accomplish what I just did, right? Now, this is, if I want to learn about the packages, right, this will open the documentation page. This will open the help page for my package. This is one way. Or I can put the question mark and the package name. I'm just showing you multiple ways. And this will show some packages come with vignettes. Vignette is another way to call the example. Well, I just know that a rule package has it. So that will open this. It will open it will open the vignette for the specified package. A rules package has it, some packages don't. Here, this command will open a list of available. It will open the list of available vignettes in a specified package. And this command, you have to keep on updating the packages at all times. This is how to do it programmatically. You can also do it by clicking updates, right? Or you can select the updates from the tools command, right? See this? Check for updates. What this will do is this will check the update for RStudio itself, right? And you can do check for package updates. This will check for if there are any latest version of the packages, right? And here are commands to import and detach the package. Will remove it from memory. Where remove packages will uninstall the package. It will remove it permanently. Here are some examples of data visualization. The histogram, you use a histogram when your variable is numeric, and you use this to show the frequencies. Oops. There we go, right? Here it is. So this is a histogram. It's not fancy, right? It's showing me the frequency. Now what I could do is I could specify the number of bars that I want, and it will R will aim to have 20 breaks. It may or may not be the case, but now it's showing me to hit return. Okay. Oops. I have to hit return. Okay. Now I can change the border, and I think this is what's happening because after some setting got changed after I ran some examples. But anyhow, I can change my border, or I can here I can specify I can change more than one setting. Here I'm changing the color of the bins. I'm gonna change I want to have this shaded, right? Oops. So here what I did was I specified more than one input parameter. I specified more than one input parameter here. So I wanted it shaded, and I wanted under 45 degrees angle and a number of breaks. Now, this one I just put some examples of the different alternative visualizations. You can do the bar chart, right? So here, what I'm doing is the bar chart takes the table as an input parameters. I created a variable called salary T, and I'm storing the table in a variable, and then passing it as an input to the bar plot. That's one way to do it. Oops. Usually, you're not going to be getting this prompt, but some setting got changed after I ran examples. Here, this is another way, but here the difference is that I'm going to be sorted. The bars are going to be sorted here, right? So basically, what you could do is you can play around, and you can also change the orientation. You can have the horizontal bars, and the pie chart is going to show the categorical variable distribution, right? It's going to show the variable distribution. But sometimes it could be very hard to read when you have a lot of categories. So in this case, you would want to use a bar plot instead when you have numerous categories. And this is a box plot, so this is for numeric variables, right? And then we also have the generic plot command. That's useful for the line plots, right? So what you could do is, as a homework, you could run a help command on a plot, and you can check the different options, right? When you have two categorical variables, when you have numeric variables, and so on, right? You get the plot is going to look differently depending on the data type. So when you have two numeric variables, for instance, it's going to look like a scatter plot, right? Now, this is for people who pay the undivided attention. Our colors command will show the list of available colors. I can specify the colors that I want to use in my visualization. To do that, I just put color command. That's one way. Or another way is to specify the color number, because every color here has a number. And I can do these colors, and in a bracket I specify the number, right? Or there is a family of colors. This is a rainbow. So I can use the rainbow colors for my bar chart, right? So if I have more than 3 bars, that would alternate, right? It would go to the next color. And then it will repeat. When the colors are exhausted on a list, the colors will repeat. Right? So here I specified only 2 colors. And I'm back to the first color. So this is it, I guess. So now I want to see the questions. And in the meantime, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'll show you what you will have. You will get the slides. And the slides that you will get is a nice summary of what we talked about on how to save the scripts and how to run the scripts. And I put a nice summary of the commands that we ran today, right? So we looked at the vectors, we looked at the help system, we looked at the working directory. And what I forgot to tell you, in the console window, if you look at the title bar, it shows the working directory. So see, there is more than one way to set the working directory. This is an alternative way you can just go through the menu. Yes, yes, yes. Let me look at the chat. Chat. Oh, you're the most welcome. You're the most welcome. Yes, this is what I'm going to do after this session. Once the recording is downloaded from the server and uploaded to YouTube, I'm going to send the link to the recording to your faculty, and I'm going to give this deck of slides, and I'm going to give the R script and a copy of the file. I'm going to give everything to your instructor, and your instructor will make it available in a classroom, right? So, and yeah, if there will be only one session for our assignment, well, it depends on the course where you are enrolled at. If you are enrolled in an introductory DMIN class, there are some recordings in the classroom. If necessary, I'll be more than happy to run another one. If you are in Data 650 class, then we'll have a session on text mining in R, because Data 650 is more advanced version. It's an advanced data analytics class where we use R for a couple assignments. So I'm summarizing the str command here and the data frame properties and so on, right? And I put a nice summary, but at the very end I have to show you what I did. I put some resources. I'm sure that you have this in the classroom already. You might have it somewhere in the classroom, but just in case, these are the cognitive class webpage has a very nice courses on introduction to R, machine learning with R, data visualization, and if you are in data analytics program, and even if you are not, if you're just working on a certification or something like that, not the full program, you might be interested in how to work with databases. There is a course on using R with databases. And these courses are free. You just enroll and you can log in and take it at your own pace. So these are some the Data 650 topics, some advanced topics using R with databases. We do it as a last assignment in Data 650 in memory analytics. Now, I also put some useful tutorials, and there is a LinkedIn group. There is a LinkedIn group on our programming. You can log in, you can join, you can ask to join and read different posts and different articles. Right? I wanted to make sure that you guys have this. And there are some free ebooks. I put some links here. You might have these links already in the classroom, but I just added them. And these are some additional useful pages to bookmark. The web page on the packages, the web page on question and answers, and so on, right? Our documentation, online pages. I guess that was it. So now I want to see questions. So it's my understanding that you would like to see more web access, right? You found it helpful. All right. We'll see what we can do. Yeah. And I want to see more questions. I really like when people ask questions, right? So if there are no questions, sometimes I start asking questions. So is lowercase x the same as uppercase x in R? Probably not, right? One thing you would like to remember that R is case sensitive, right? So whenever you get an error that variable is undefined, you want to check. Yes. Oh, thank you, Will. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the compliment. Thank you very much. But question and answer session does not end at the end of this session. You can always post questions in your classroom, right? So your TA will pick up and answer them, your TA or instructor, depending on what session you're in. All right? So thank you all for attending tonight's presentation, and I hope everybody has a great start of the semester, great end of week 1, and hopefully we'll have another presentation at some point. All right. Thank you everybody for attending. Oh yeah, I was not able to call for a sound. Yes, yes, definitely. I'm going to, Brittany, definitely this presentation will be available. The recording will be available. It will be posted in a classroom. Definitely. It will be posted in a classroom. So if you need to listen to it again, or if you missed the demo, if you could not attend, definitely it will be there. It will be available, right? Hopefully it recorded on the server as expected. Most of the time it does. All right, but it's an excellent question, and Brittany, thank you very much for attending the presentation. All right, so I'll see you all. Thank you again for attending. Bye bye.